All right, everyone. This is Brother Doug with my sister Shoshana, my brother Dennis, and my sister Sally, and we are continuing the book of Revelations today. We are starting at chapter 13. If you are new to us in this channel, you can check out our previous video, Revelations chapter 8 to 12. That will catch you up on what we are reading today. So Revelations, just a little summary. Revelations is a book of prophecy, of end times prophecy, and these are the times that we believe as the body of Yahushua Messiah are living in. So what better time to be reading this book? So Revelations chapter 13, I will start off the reading. Then I saw a beast rising up out of the sea, and it had 7 heads and 10 horns, with 10 crowns on its horns, and written on each head were names that blasphemed Yahuwah. This beast looked like a leopard, but it had feet of a bear, and the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave the beast his own power and throne and authority. I saw that one of the heads of the beast seemed wounded beyond recovery, but the fatal wound was healed. The whole world marveled at this miracle and gave allegiance to the beast. They worshiped the dragon for giving the beast such power, and they also worshiped the beast who is as great as the beast. They exclaimed, "Who is able to make war against him?" Then the beast was allowed to speak great blasphemies against Yahuwah, and he was given authority to do whatever he wanted for 42 months. And he spoke terrible words of blasphemy against Yahuwah and slandering his name and his dwelling, that is, those who dwell in the heavens. And the beast was allowed to wage war against Yahuwah's set-apart people to conquer them. And he was given authority to rule over every tribe and people and language and nation. And all the people who belong to this world worshiped the beast. They are the ones whose names were not written in the book of life before the world was made, the book that belongs to the Lamb who was slaughtered. Anyone with ears to hear should listen and understand. Anyone who is destined for prison will be taken to prison. Anyone destined to die by the sword will die by the sword. Here, now we're at verse 11. Then I saw another beast come up out of the earth. He had 2 horns like those of a lamb, but he spoke with the voice, or spoke as a dragon. He exercised all authority of the first beast, and he required all the earth and its people to worship the first beast, whose fatal wound had been healed. He did astounding miracles, even making fire flash down to earth from the sky while everyone was watching. And with all the miracles he was allowed to perform on behalf of the first beast, he deceived all the people who belonged to this world. He ordained the people to make a great statue of the first beast, who was fatally wounded and then came back to life. He was then permitted to give life to this statue that it could speak. Then the statue of the beast commanded. Wow, so the statue, the image of the beast commanded that anyone refusing to worship it must die. He required everyone, small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to be given a mark on the right hand or on the forehead, and no one could buy or sell anything without that mark, which was either the name of the beast or the number representing his name. Interesting. The number representing his name. Wisdom is needed here. Let the one with understanding solve the meaning of the number of the beast, for it is the number of a man. His number is 666. And just for the audience, I want to let you know something. My study Bible actually has an asterisk next to 666, meaning that it wasn't in the original Greek. And before I unmute you guys, I just want to show whoever's watching here that if you go to the actual Greek of verse 18, you will see that there's actually a symbol there, and that it actually is supposed to say chi z stigma, which is this symbol here. This symbol was actually where they replaced it with 666 in the English translations. So actually, most likely this verse probably originally in the Greek probably would have said in verse 18, for it is a number of a man and his symbol is chi z stigma. So just something for you guys to think about, and that's, if everyone can see on the screen, the viewers can see this X, this E looking snake letter, and then this hook combined makes the symbol that is the chi z stigma and the symbol of the beast according to the original Greek Textus Receptus of Revelations 13:18. So I just wanted to share that with the viewers. And let me unmute everyone. That is the end of Revelations chapter 13.
Yes, I think we ought to also tell everyone about that, the people and nations and authorities that actually have that symbol today.
Yes, the symbol that I just shown the audience a couple of minutes ago, that chi z stigma, that X with the two S's, is actually on many of the Catholic portraits of the false image of the Messiah, and you can find that as almost a seal of their authority almost on these false images. And also it's not just in Catholicism, it's actually also in radical Islam on the headband of ISIS. And according to them, it means to them, translated into English, in Allah's name conquer. Kind of like Constantine, where he said he saw a symbol in the sky. Now it's interesting to note, according to Blue Letter Bible, in the outline of biblical usage, that symbol can also be a cross. So could it be possible that Constantine saw that symbol, that same symbol John saw in the sky, and possibly it could have been the Prince of the Air saying to him, in this sign conquer?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I think you're probably onto something, Doug.
Because Blue Letter Bible, and just for people listening in, is a Christian resource. They're actually against what we believe, but yet they admit that that symbol, that chi z stigma, can also be represented as a cross, as a T. So that's just something to think about for the viewers to think about. And let me put the share screen on so you guys don't think I'm just trying to push an agenda. I'm going to put my share screen on and show the audience that it literally says that on the outline of biblical usage. Right here on, well, it's actually the Strong's definition. So Strong's Concordance is a Christian resource. And it says, Strong's definitions, chi z stigma, or the X, and the two S's following, says 14th and an obsolete letter, and then it gives you the Greek, Strong's Greek G4742 as a cross. So if you click on that, that takes you to the cross, which is very interesting. So I guess the etymology of the chi z stigma, or the actual stigma part of the chi z stigma, comes from the same word that is used for cross. So take it for whatever that is. There could be a very possibility that that symbol can also be a cross. And just to add, you can read for yourselves in the book of Galatians, in Acts, many times the apostles actually said Yahushua was hung on a tree. So take that for, for consideration that possibly the word cross might have not even been in the Greek. And that could have been an insertion because of this mark or this sign, this symbol of the Chi-C stigma, and why they use the word crucifixion and cross in the English translations.
Yes, the Catholics are very much into that symbol, and the also symbol of IHS, which is the original Trinity of Isis, Horus, and Seth. So, just want people to know that.
Yep, and that definitely has been a misnomer, and people think IHS stands for something like Jesus, whatever. I forget what most people have been lied to and told that it stands for something to do with JC, and but also too that the mistranslation of Yashrael Israel, I have heard that it's rumored that the false English translation, the mistranslation of Yashrael into Israel, actually stands for Isis, Ra, and El. So take it for whatever, Am I saying I know for a fact that that's what the mistranslated Israel means? That's the anagram for those three false deities. I don't know. Just take it for whatever it is. That's very possible that that's just an anagram, and it's definitely not a translation of the original Yashrael.
Right.
And so that's, even in the English, it wouldn't be Israel. So it's in the Masoretic, I think they use Yisrael, which you only get from the vowel points. And without the vowel points, you get Yashraal, or some say Yasharal. So depending on, the phonetics. But definitely Israel is not a correct translation of that word.
It means to strive with and overcome with L.
Yeah, Dennis, you can't be heard, and we are recording, so you need to get closer.
Yeah, Yisrael means to strive with and overcome with Yahuwah.
Oh.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you have strived, Yahuwah, and you have overcome. I think was what what Yahusha as a Malachim has appeared as a Malachim when he wrestled with Jacob.
Yeah.
And Jacob said back to him, he said, no longer you Jacob, you are now Yashrael. You are, because you have striven with Elohim, and you have Elohim and men, and have overcome. So that's like a prophecy. That's what he was to be. He was to be one who overcomes. And it's interesting because we in Revelations it says we are more than overcomers through him who loved us. So it was kind of like a foreshadowing, in my opinion.
And it's also interesting that Israel, or Yasharel, put his name on his grandchildren, Joseph or Yusuf's children, and they are Ephraim and Manasseh. And if you don't know who Ephraim and Manasseh are today, they are the English-speaking peoples of the United States, Canada, Britain, Australia, New Zealand. They're quite abundant all throughout the world.
British covenant people, covenant men.
Yes, Dennis, speak up a little louder.
Yeah, British, a lot of people don't know that Brit means covenant. Ish is Hebrew for man, covenant man.
So you see that we've been lied to about everything, and British is literally telling you who the Britons are. Part of Yisrael and covenant man. I notice in verse 7 that the beast is to fight with the Kadashim and overcome them. And that is perhaps a little scary to many of us, but we do have the opportunity to be counted worthy to escape. And that is shown in Revelation 3. If you're part of the Philadelphia assembly, it says in verse 10 of chapter 3, because you have guarded my word of endurance, I also shall guard you from the hour of trial, which shall come upon all the world to try those who dwell on the earth. And also, if you look at Luke 21, verse 36, it also tells you that if you watch and pray always, that you might be counted worthy to escape. All this about to come upon the earth and to stand before Ben Ha-Adam. That means we stand before our Creator, Yahusha. And I'm getting a little bit off track, but not too far.
All roads lead the same way.
I just felt like our listeners should know this. And then the whole scenario of the set apart ones fleeing from the dragon is in Revelation 12, verses 14 through 17. And it says a miracle happens. The earth opens its mouth and swallows up the river which the dragon cast out of his mouth to overcome the woman. And we believe that's not a literal river, it's armies that are trying to kill us, but the earth killed them. And interesting enough, the great signs of Revelation 12 were seen in the heavens this past September through December. And Doug, if you want to take it over from there.
Yep, definitely. So a lot of stuff from Revelations 13 talks about the authority of the dragon, giving his authority and throne to the beast. Interestingly enough, Satan has a throne, a physical throne on earth that's known as the throne of Zeus, Temple of Zeus in Pergamus. So look that up if you guys are interested in that. So I found that pretty interesting, and just also the fact that it pretty much tells you that there's two beasts. The first beast is the anti-Messiah, obviously. Second beast is the false prophet because he tells people to worship the first beast. And so also you have the image of the beast right towards the end of the chapter. And my translation was very interesting, thinking about what is taught, like the way it worded, how the image of the beast commanded those that didn't worship it to be killed. So that's what makes it different, and people have falsely said that, that the abomination of desolation is already fully fulfilled in the Tanakh and in the Maccabee period. Well, first of all, the image of the beast did not speak in Daniel's time. It did not speak in the Maccabees' time. It didn't cause anyone to be killed physically. So if you actually take for what it's saying, this is definitely future-only context, and this has not happened yet. And also the wound that has been healed now, the SDA, which is Seventh-day Adventist, they'll tell you that that wound was the Catholic Church, that Napoleon wounded them and they came back when John Paul was Pope. And I would say that it's, with all due respect, that's a false interpretation because, number one, it's talking about a resurrection. It's talking about a beast being killed to the point where he's almost dead and he comes back to life. Now, obviously, that's literal. So that's talking about a anti-Messiah that basically was wounded in the head, was fatally wounded to the point of death, and came back to life. And there could be many people have made many claims, but I would say the one claim that makes all the sense, according to archaeology, is Nimrod, because he was fatally wounded. Through mythology, he's been known as Horus and many other false deities, and the story of Horus is that he lost his eye. He was fatally wounded and lost his left eye. Now, that left eye is on your dollar bill, and that is Nimrod. He was fatally wounded in the head and was actually killed. Now, there's definitely a controversy between who actually killed Nimrod. The Jewish traditions would point to Esau, and I heard supposedly in extra biblical books also it says that Esau killed him. I'm not too sure yet. I lean more towards Abraham because of Genesis 14. The war in Genesis 14 where Abraham and his 300 servants go out to rescue Lot, and they go after the giants that kidnapped his brother Lot. And it kind of hints that he slaughtered those kings along with Amraphel, king of Shinar, who is Nimrod. So that's just my take on it. That's my opinion. I don't think it's a big deal who really killed Nimrod. We know that he got killed, and it seems as if, according to Revelation 13, he will resurrect. And if you continue to follow us on our studies, we'll reveal later on there is scripture proving. Well, actually, no, we've already read Revelations 9, so let me go there real quick before we go to the next chapter, just to prove my point why I believe that there's biblical proof that Nimrod is the anti-Messiah, and he's the one that who was and is not and is yet to come, the polar opposite of Yahusha. And
up out of abyss. The pit.
Yeah. So in Revelations 9, verse 11, it clearly names the beast by name. It says that they had a king over them, meaning the locust army, which is the Malachim, the angel of the bottomless pit, whose name in the Hebrew tongue is Abaddon, but in the Greek tongue has his name Apollyon, or in our English derivative, it would be Apollo. Apollo is a Greek name for Nimrod. Nimrod was known as Apollo, the sun god. So that verse alone tells me who the anti-Messiah of old, who was but is not and is yet to come. According to 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, that the falling away must happen first before the man of lawlessness is to be revealed. And he is the man of lawlessness as far as I'm concerned, because he created all these traditions that, people hold dear today that actually go against Yahuwah's word. He's responsible for Saturnalia, which became Christmas. He's responsible for Ishtar Day, which glorified his wife. So in response, I would also say that he is, in fact, the man of lawlessness. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there.
I'd agree. And Rob Skiba has a teaching on it as well.
Yeah, if you guys, if you guys are not, if you guys think maybe off my rocker or that I'm making this stuff up, you can look into guys that have done way more research on this than I have. There's books out there calling, one's called Apollyon Rising, many other books. Rob Skiba on YouTube, he's a good brother of ours that actually has dived deep into this stuff. So, yeah, just check that stuff out.
Also, if you're familiar with Anthony Patch, he has some videos about the resurrection of Nimrod that will shake you to the core, because it talks about the finding of the head in the desert and how well preserved it was. Yes, Steve Quayle mentioned that, and that this head was brought to a place here in the United States where it was 13 stories high, and it's a huge printer, like only it prints from it, it will print your DNA, and you can put fleshy material down there and it will create a body from that DNA. The DNA is digital and it constructs the body from the substance placed there. And I don't totally know how it works, but Anthony Patch and Kev Baker were talking about it and said that they believe his resurrection came about on September 23rd of last year. Now, what else came on September 23rd of last year? Well, that was when we saw the sign of the Virgin Virgo give birth to the planet Jupiter, which is symbolic of a king or prince. And we believe that that was absolutely a sign that the anti-Messiah was birthed. He's here. And that's all I have to say about it, Doug. You can go ahead.
I tell them about Highlander.
Oh, the Highlander. Yeah, Dennis, you want to speak?
Well, if people wondering why King David cut the head off the giant, is because the giants have that third DNA strand,
Oh, yes, the triple helix.
which makes them heal. And the only way you can kill them is cut their heads off. So if anybody has watched the Highlander, they play, they're immortals, and the only way to kill one of them is cut their head off. It's interesting, the parody there.
Yes, I saw that movie. It was quite interesting.
Yeah, I saw that. I had to get it. See that movie and the other movies.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a bit of insight there.
Yes, there is. And I think it tells you something about these Nephilim. It's very difficult to kill one, and you do have to chop their heads off to do it.
About the armies in the desert in Afghanistan. They told them to shoot at the head, face.
Well, Yahuwah didn't tell them; their superiors did.
Well, the superiors got it from there.
The superiors told them to shoot higher than a man's head, and they didn't know what that meant. They followed their orders, but they were confused about it. Like, why would we aim above a man's head? Well, when they saw this creature, this giant, come out of the cave, they realized what they'd been told, or why they'd been told what they had.
Well, the
Because,
commander there said shoot in the face.
well, I think several people actually yelled, shoot him in the face, because that's the only way to kill him.
Well, when they shot the body, it healed.
Yeah, the body healed. In fact, they had seen bullet marks on his body that evidently a group of
Well, that was their team they were looking for. They disappeared.
a group of our men had already shot this creature, and he had healed from it. So, but they killed it with shots to the head, numerous shots to the head. And when it finally fell, then a team of other people came out with a helicopter and
Smithsonian and
bagged
the
it,
Vatican.
took it to the Smithsonian. Yeah,
Either Smithsonian or the Vatican.
We don't really know where it went, but we speculate that it did go to the Smithsonian or the Vatican, or perhaps to the 3D printer where they made him live again. I don't know. This is, we're getting into speculation here, so I'm gonna hand off to Doug if you're back.
Yep, I've been here the whole time. So, yep, just been listening. All right, so let's see here. So now we're about to start chapter 14, and anyone wants to take over, don't be shy.
Okay, I'll read 15.
Okay.
And I looked and saw a Lamb standing on Mount Zion, and with him 144,000, having his Father's name written upon their foreheads. And I heard a voice out of the Shemayim, like the voice of many waters, and like the voice of loud thunder. And I heard the sound of harpists playing their harps. And they sang a renewed song before the throne and before the 4 living creatures and the elders. And no one was able to learn that song except the 144,000 who were redeemed from the earth. They are those who were not defiled with women, for they are maidens. They are those following the Lamb wherever he goes. They were redeemed from among men, being firstfruits to Yahuwah and to the Lamb. And in their mouth was found no falsehood, for they are blameless before the throne of Elohim. And I saw another messenger flying in mid-heaven, holding the everlasting Tob news to announce to those dwelling on the earth, even to every nation and tribe and tongue and people, saying with a loud voice, Revere Elohim and give esteem to him, because the hour of his judgment has come, and worship him who made the Shemayim and the earth, and sea and fountains of water. And another messenger followed, saying, Babel is fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her whoring. And a third messenger followed them, saying with a loud voice, If anyone worships the beast and his image, and receives his mark upon his forehead or upon his hand, he also shall drink of the wine of the wrath of Yahuwah, which is poured out undiluted into the cup of his wrath. And he shall be tortured with fire and sulfur before the Kadesh messengers and before the Lamb. And the smoke of their torture goes up forever and ever. And they have no rest day or night, those worshiping the beast and his image also, if anyone receives the mark of his name. Here is the endurance of the Kadeshim, Here are those guarding the commands of Yahuwah and the belief of Yahusha. And I heard a voice out of the Shemayim saying to me, Write, Baruch are the dead who die in the Master from now on. Yes, says the Ruach, in order that they rest from their labors, and their works follow with them. And I looked and saw a white cloud, and sitting on the cloud was one like the Ben Ha-Adam, having on his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out of the Mishkan, crying with a loud voice to the one sitting on the cloud, Send your sickle and reap, because the hour has come for you to reap, because the harvest of the earth is ripe. And the one sitting on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another messenger came out of the Mishkan, which is in the Shemayim, and he too held a sharp sickle. And another messenger came out from the altar, having authority over the fire, and he cried with a loud cry to him having the sharp sickle, saying, Send your sharp sickle and gather the clusters of the wine of the earth, because her grapes are ripe. And the messenger thrust his sickle into the earth, and gathered the wine of the earth, and threw it into the great winepress of the wrath of Yahuwah. And the winepress was trodden outside the city, and blood came out of the winepress up to the bridles of the horses for about 1,600 stadion. And that's chapter 14, which I read from the Hallelujah Scriptures. You said what?
Vine.
Vine?
Yeah.
Where mine said wine?
Yeah.
Okay. The clusters of the vine, I probably read it wrong. It's vine, which I can't pronounce all the V's and F's, and, I just have a hard time because of the tooth I have out. So, my apologies.
It's all good. I actually was paying attention to the wine press and to the harvest. Caught my attention because if our viewers do not know, this is not a new concept. If you know the New Testament, actually Yahusha might have been actually foretelling of this to his disciples in Matthew 13 and telling them what the harvest is. And if you start off at Matthew 13 verses, I believe it starts off at verse 26 if I'm not mistaken. And let's get the Bible Discovery app on the share screen. Okay, so Matthew 13:26 says, let's see, where does it actually start? It says, verse 24, another parable, which is basically a metaphor, that's basically what a parable is. It's a metaphoric story. He put forth unto them, saying, the kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. But while he slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat, and went his way. But when the blade sprung up and brought forth fruit, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, did you not sow good seed in your field? From where then has it tares? He said unto them, an enemy has done this. The servants said unto him, will you then that we go and gather them up? But he said, no, lest while you gather up the tares, you also root up the wheat along with them. Let both grow together until the harvest. In the time of the harvest, I will say to the reapers, gather ye together first the tares, and bind them in bundles to burn them, but gather the wheat into my barn. And so verse 30 ends the parable, but later on, if you go later on into the chapter, like jump down to 36, it says, then Yahusha sent the multitude away and went into the house, and his disciples came unto him, saying, declare unto us the parable of the tares of the field. Basically, they want him to tell them what it means. He answered and said unto them, he that sows the good seed is the son of Adam, the son of man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom, or the children of Yahuwah. But the tares are the children of the wicked one. You would know the wicked one is Satan. It says in verse 39, the enemy that sowed them is the devil. The harvest is the end of the world, and the reapers are the Malachim, the angels. As therefore the tares are gathered and burned in the fire, so shall it be in the end of this world. So right in Matthew 13 is kind of a foreshadowing of what we just read in Revelation 14. It's kind of like prequel and sequel.
Yes, it sure is.
And the reason it brought it up in my mind was when I saw the wine press. I was like, oh, wow. Because Matthew 13 also talks about the wine press shall be trodden down. So it's very interesting. And my NLT actually breaks up the chapter once you get to 14 of verse 4. Verse 14 of chapter 14 of Revelations actually says the harvest of the earth. So I kind of like that about my study Bible. It makes it a little easier to break up the chapter. Also, if I'm not mistaken, guys, one of the angels in one translation is falsely translated. I wanted to bring this up to the viewer's attention. In chapter 14, one of the verses says eagle instead of Malachim. I kind of want to bring that up to their attention. Let me see. Maybe I'm thinking of another chapter, because I know there's one in Revelations where the NIV mistranslates it for eagle. Let me see here. Let me look that up right here. I know the verse goes along. I saw one flying in mid-heaven. I think is the verse I'm thinking of. Okay, let me find that real quick. Really quick. All right, here we go. Sorry about that, audience. My computer's not acting right now. I literally searched for it in the search bar, and it went back instead of forward. Okay, so here we go. All right, it's not from this chapter, but it's from Revelations 8:13, and I wanted to bring this up to the viewers' attention on Bible. BlueLetterBible.com will show you the actual Greek word in here. And let's do the thing right now. Go on my share screen. So it's important here because this actually see here. So my page is loading right now. I'm trying to get on to Blue Letter Bible as quick as possible here. So it's actually Revelations chapter 8, verse 13, where it's mistranslated. It's funny that that's the only place they translate it as eagle, which is a little weird. Almost every other time they translate it as messenger or malachim, so it's a little weird. So, but anyway, it's just interesting because if you go into the Greek lexicon or the Strong's, it will show you that there's no way that this word could be eagle. So I just wanted to bring that to people's attention because, you know, some people believe there's no big deal with using the NIV and other translations that, you know, get verses totally wrong and out of whack. And I just want to show them that.
Doug, are you talking about the messenger that flies in the mid-heaven?
Yeah, it's Revelations 8:13, and the actual Greek word that is used for that word that was printed as evil in some translations. G32 of the Greek Concordance, it's wrong to share screen over now. Angelos. And Angelos obviously is angel in English. So, and you can look up in outline of usage, sender, envoy, who sent angel. So this is one of the few verses that gets mistranslated for no reason at all. Like everywhere else, that same word is used for Malachi or messenger.
Right.
So I just because I use it uses evil for some reason. I never understood that because actually the same word, same Greek word is used in Matthew 11:10 as Malachi, Luke 7:24 is Malachi, also verse 27 of Luke 7, Luke chapter 9:52. If you want to learn about a whole list of verses throughout Scripture that use that they translate correctly as Malachi, but anyway, I just want to bring that up to the viewer's attention. And you gotta be careful sometimes because sometimes the translator won't be always 110% honest with the text. Sometimes they'll, just for a random reason, mistranslate a word, which I don't even know what was the big deal with that. But anyway, I just figured I would bring that up. So other than that, it was a very interesting chapter, the 144,000. So, and also you have the song Masha's song, the new song, I believe, which is the song of Masha, if I'm not mistaken. Let's see, you also have the verse talk. Yeah?
It might be one of my songs. Well, I'm joking, but
No, I know. I'm trying to see what else caught my attention in verse 14, chapter 14 it was. Also, it was the fact that it says they're virgins, which, depending on how you take it, could mean many things. It could mean that they were pure, maybe even sexually, which, not everyone, ascribes to that opinion, but it's definitely, they were definitely pure in some type of way, whether it's spiritual, physical. They obviously they're a special group. This 144,000.
not defiled by false teaching, I think, is the most important thing.
And it says that they followed Yahusha wherever he went. So this is also a group that's very faithful.
In their mouth is no falsehood. And
yeah, they did not lie.
They're considered blameless.
Which that should be a goal for us to really make sure we're above all his commandments not to lie. So I see that as one of the biggest sins that Yahuwah points out time and time and again. A lying tongue.
Yes, the tongue is the most deceitful thing.
And other than that, it's pretty interesting. Also, the succession of the Malachim, each Malachim coming in, one actually tells people to fear Yahuwah, serve him. And also, you got the good news, the eternal good news being proclaimed. So, even though our job right now is to do our best job we can to preach to every human, but it's kind of impossible when you know how many humans are on this earth for us to preach to every one of them.
Well, that's why we have the technology we do today.
Yeah. But I also believe too that this verse 6 actually concludes that even after we try our best to preach the gospel to every creature, that this Malachim will actually be preaching the eternal good news. And he'll be preaching the good news to the inhabitants of the earth. And what's interesting is the way my translation translates a lot of time where it says those that have the mark of the beast. It actually says to those who belong to this world. So I find that interesting how the New Living Translation translated that.
What verse?
Well, verse 6 says, "And I saw another Malachim flying through mid-sky, carrying the eternal good news to proclaim to the people who belong to this world."
Oh, okay.
So it's kind of interesting the way they give that phrase, and that phrase is used in my translation a lot of times where it's talking about people that you know, that have taken the mark of the beast or whatever, or you know, or those that just, it seems like those that are sinners, they translate as those people that belong to this world.
I don't think it's I don't think they're preaching to the ones
Yeah,
who the mark of the beast, because I don't think they're redeemable.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Mm.
Um,
Just the wicked, the
yeah,
ones who
probably the sinners. The
have chosen to live like the world.
says, and then it says, "Fear Yahuwah," he shouted, "give esteem to him, for the time has come when he will sit as judge. Worship him who made the heavens, the earth, the sea, and all the springs of water." It's interesting that this is where, you get the waters above the waters, because in verse 7 it actually says the sea, comma, and all the springs of water.
Mm-hmm.
So it's actually telling you that there's other waters other than the sea, and that there's
Yeah.
other waters that he created. So I found that pretty interesting. Other than that, I really don't see. I mean, obviously, it talks about, they will be forced to take the cup of his wrath, which the woman has in her hand. And the harlot has in her hand that they have drinking from. I always found that interesting that Yahuwah says he will make the nations drink of the wrath, because they shared in her fornication, but she also has a cup in her hand. So it's very interesting that says the wine of Yahuwah's anger, in my translation, is poured full strength into Yahuwah's cup of wrath. They will be tormented. So, and this is where you get, the forever burning lake of fire. And some people, they don't like that, but that's what it says.